Hello and welcome. My name is Andrew Dane, and I'm our product marketing manager here at ArcXP. I'm excited to welcome you to today's Product Vision and Roadmap Update webinar. Before we start, I'd like to go through a couple of housekeeping items just to make sure everybody feels comfortable. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see blue-green widgets that allow you to customize your viewing options. All those primary widgets on your screen are also movable, so feel free to adjust your screen to your preferences. We are recording today's session, and you'll receive an on-demand version after the webinar. If you're having any trouble seeing or hearing the presentation at any time, simply refresh your screen and log back in. Also, we do want to hear from you and have this be as interactive a conversation as possible, so please take advantage of the Q&A tool. We can see your questions as they come in, and we definitely want to get them answered, whether it's during the Q&A portion or after the webinar following up with you directly. So with that, we're all ready to get started. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joe Croney, ArcXP's Chief Technology Officer.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm thrilled you've taken the time to join us. As mentioned, I'm Joe Croney, CTO of ArcXP, and I've got a great team here today to talk through Arc's forward vision, our progress on our roadmap, and overall why we believe the old rules of media are truly dead, and how we can together lead the charge in writing your own playbook on top of Arc's tools. So let's go ahead and continue with the slides here. In terms of our Q2 product update, this is our second webinar of the year. We've tried to really condense a ton of information into these webinars, but this isn't the only moment to engage with us. Please take opportunities, whether it's with your TAM, with a product manager, in our forums, in our ideas portal, to give us your ideas and feedback, because that's why we do these sessions. We want to hear from you to make sure what we're building resonates with your business need, with what your teams need, and frankly, what you're excited about as we all innovate on top of technologies like AI to transform media. In terms of our agenda, we'll do some quick intros. We'll go into the product vision, where we'll talk about where we're headed with the platform, not what's coming out in the release notes next week or next quarter, but rather the journey we see ourselves on as an industry and how Arc wants to support that innovation. Then we'll go into some deep dives on the actual product roadmap, stuff that's been released, is about to be released, and in our active development. So lots of great content there. And then finally, we'll open up the questions. As Andrew mentioned, we'd love you to use the tools within this webinar, as well as other forums, to give us your feedback so we can go through this journey together. So in terms of intros, we've got a great team together here today from the product engineering group. Janae from Content Intelligence, Mike from the Content Platform, Ryan from our Creator App Suite, Neil from our Platform and Content Delivery, and Joan from our Revenue Intelligence. Unfortunately, Joey won't be here. He's out this week, and so Janae will do a great job presenting the Content Intelligence features. So as I mentioned, I wanted to talk a little bit about our vision. I've had the opportunity to be at some great industry events over the last month, from WAN-IFRA to INMA, to NAB, to AWS Summits, to our own Arc Connect series. And a lot of the conversation there has been not about technology, but rather about the audience. And that's what media companies, B2C businesses, that's our bread and butter. How do we get our audiences engaged? How do we create content that they find exciting? How do we build business models on top of those audiences? And the conversations kind of evolved from where we started in a journey of audience 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. And the Arc's framing of this really is that if we go 10 years in the past when we originated, it was a much more passive experience, more print focused, more traditional broadcast focused. And we've been living in a world of audience 2.0 for a couple of years now. And that's where our customers are expecting an interactive experience from our content. Our newsrooms need to up their game with the experiences of the storytelling. We are sharing some control with our users in terms of giving them some impact on what our storytelling news gathering efforts focus on. And then finally, engagements and data has been really important for the value exchange. The exciting phase that we're in now is audience 3.0, which is much more one-to-one. That's where we see our hyper-personalization experience coming to bear. That's where we see co-creators and really notable industry leaders leaning into the storytelling itself for less of a vanilla experience. So this is challenging us in terms of how do we connect with this audience? How do we build to it? How do we make sure that we've got a platform in Arc that supports you in addressing these audience needs. And, the interesting thing about going to these conferences is you would think that everyone has their own take and there might be a lot of diversity on the challenges of the industry. And actually what we found is many industry leaders are confronting the hard truth that the traditional methods of creating, distributing, and monetizing content aren't just losing ground, they're terminally broken. And audiences have moved on. They've moved on from that 1.0, 2.0 to a 3.0 approach. Platforms have shifted. Ad dollars are chasing more sophisticated platforms and models. So it's an exciting time for all of us, a challenging time. Our takeaway and my personal lesson from these events is that if we're still clinging to yesterday's playbook, it's already too late. And we need to lean in together to address Audience 3.0. And that's why I wanted to share a little bit about the Washington Post. Many of you have seen this slide before. We've talked about the history of ArcXP over a decade ago, beginning with the Washington Post, beginning with an imperative to move from print to digital. And over the journey, we took that technology. Many of you have benefited from that transformation. And you may have read that the Washington Post is in a similar moment today, a similar moment where they're challenging the newsroom, challenging the model of the business, challenging the ways we connect with our consumers. And so it's exciting to hear that Vineet, the CTO of the Washington Post, has announced they're coming back to the latest version of Arc. And we're actually breaking down some of the silos that had existed between Arc and the Washington Post so we can collaborate again, collaborate with you all as customers, bring some of the experiments they're doing, whether it's Ask the Post, things like the comments evolution, using their AI tools to really inform Arc's vision forward. So it's an exciting moment for the industry and for Arc and the Washington Post and all of us on this call together. And it informs our vision. My hope is that by working closer with you, with the newsroom of the Post at industry events, we're able to give the tools necessary to meet the challenge of the day. And what are those challenges? There's three we've talked a lot about. The first is if your content can be replaced by AI, your business model is in danger. And many of us are excited about AI, newsroom efficiency. The hard truth is AI can do some great storytelling today. As an industry, we have to make sure it doesn't commoditize the core value of our business. Arc believes, and our mission starts with the power of storytelling to change the world. And so we don't believe that AI can really be handed 100% of control for that. We think there's a room for everyone in our audiences and our newsrooms to have a human in the loop to make sure we have differentiated content. The next is that single format media is obsolete. Multimedia is the new business baseline forward. And that's part of the Audience 2.0 to 3.0 transition. Print, digital, broadcast, audio, it has to be all those together, as well as new experiences that we might see in VR. Finally, audience is becoming a one-to-one relationship. That's the front and center of what we've learned about Audience 3.0. So that's a little bit about the vision of where we're going. The mission that I shared with you all in our last webinar, here it comes up, is that our mission is simple for my team, and that's to bring clear, powerful AI to the heart of our media OS. That way we can enable global personalization at scale. And I shared last time that we're thinking about some bold ideas, not just the ideas of how we can refine Arc as it exists today, but rather a new vision of how we can redefine Arc for tomorrow. And my team took two of these ideas, Nexus, as well as for you. We formed Tiger teams. We spent a month working together, brainstorming at the whiteboard with our UX team, our technology leaders, to think about what could these products look like. And we're beginning to form some ideas about where they might go. These aren't shovel ready. They're not going to come out in the next month, but I want to share them today to give you some texture for what it means to us to redefine Arc and to invite you to be part of the experience of how do we define these tools. So one of these we looked at was really about agentic apps. How could we aim to bring human-computer interaction in service of developing deeply personalized experiences? How could we balance that human in the loop for the new world without commoditizing the content? We want to leverage the power of AI so customers could create compelling content that meets our customers where they are and their audiences where they are. So we began by digesting the workflow today, and we thought about the three stages from planning to creating that content to publishing, and we identified the actions that an agent might be able to help with. We then thought about an MVP that really focused on the beginning phase of the ideation of the story, as well as the publication phase, reserving the heart of that storytelling process for our journalists and storytellers. So that was kind of how we began distilling the concepts around this. We then said, well, what might this look like in wireframes? It might look like when you're beginning your day, your team is actually prompted for ideas about how to create a new story. It might be having search for trends. It might be giving you a starting place so you're not starting from scratch. It might then lead into an experience where we've already been able to generate some example headlines and subheadlines, put in the tags appropriate to give your team a head start as soon as they write that story. It might further evolve so that we have an AI assistant that's not just there watching as you're writing, but more actively involved co-creating the content and keeping track of the ideas that came from AI versus the humans in your newsroom. So these were some of the things we talked about internally. We started envisioning ideas and figuring out the building blocks that were necessary for this new vision. We also look to you, our customers. We know some of you have already experimented with this. Some of you already have built custom tools on top of ARC's APIs, on top of our content platform that give your journalists a head start. So we've been talking with you all about those lessons learned so we can make sure in the product that you all could enjoy that it hits the mark on the spot. So that's a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're working on. There's going to be lots of opportunities coming out today and in future webinars and in sessions at our conferences to talk and explore these ideas. But I'm really happy that we've turned really a corner at ARC to have forward momentum on this vision. We know there's work to do to refine the product we have, and you'll hear a lot about that today. As we look through this year and we get to Q3 and Q4, you'll see more and more of our focus going to the future and building these new tools. And with that said, I want to reaffirm that our vision of the future really is AI-powered hyper-personalization. Our goal is to have every story, every consumer, every format considered, and enable a whole new dramatic change in the type of content you can offer your consumers. So that's a little bit about the vision segment of this webinar. Without further ado, I do want to jump into our roadmap. And the roadmap is more about the here and now, what we've delivered, the pace of what comes out in the release notes every week, what's on our developer community really is staggering. Hopefully you all see that momentum because it's important to us as we go to the future that we're moving fast. The industry is moving fast, the technologies are, we need to as well, and you're right to expect that from ARC. So in terms of that roadmap, we are continuing to focus on 3 key areas for hyper-personalization, deeply personal experiences, revenue intelligence, and extensibility. You'll see those continue to be the hallmarks of what investments I'm approving. If we look at those investments in a very zoomed out view, there's a lot here. I'm not going to bore you by reading through each one of these, but we've got a disciplined process to talk about what we're building today, what's been released, what's coming in the future. And Joan's going to talk about some of the exciting work going on with our dev.arcxp.com community, which has really dramatically transformed over the last 6 to 9 months. Joan, take it from here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joan Branham, and as Joe stated, I want to share things that are going on the developer community. We are aggressively improving the content, the site structure, and the capabilities to offer a best-in-class experience for your developers. And our goals are to foster collaboration, answer developer questions for you, and to help you fully leverage the ArcXP platform. Some of the changes we've made in Q2 I'd like to share. We've redesigned the homepage. The homepage now guides your developers to the most valuable and frequently accessed resources. We've enhanced the navigation. In the left-hand pane, you can now directly access our products for what will hopefully be you can find what you need a lot quicker. We've improved our search capabilities. You can now search on ALC and the developer portal. You can filter by product, and you can set your default search engine. We've also revamped the technical documentation on the site. There's over 500 articles that have been moved from ALC to the developer portal. We've had 50,000 page views in the last 90 days. And as you can see, we've updated the top 10 most read pages, the outbound feed articles, themes articles, identity and subscriptions pages, and now we're currently working on resizer and video pages. We've also introduced a new video page, which is a centralized hub for accessing your video content. For example, tutorials, feature overviews, technical deep dives, and presentations. And we've just last month introduced Arc XP CLI for IFX, which allows you to execute all your processes directly from the command line. You can now manage secrets, integrations, bundles, and deployments from the command line. You can simplify your workflow, automate repetitive tasks, and accelerate your development process. I also want to point out, Ask the Community, Ask and Answer section. This developer community provides the ability for your developers to talk to Arc engineers when they have developer-related questions. We're trying to build this community that you can rely on. We're quite excited last week that a customer developer asked a question, and before an Arc engineer could get to it and answer it, another customer developer answered the question. So it's really important to us to build this community to assist you in your development efforts on Arc XP. What's next for devarcxp.com? We're working on tools to allow for easier debugging and troubleshooting. We're expanding our new Arc XP CLI capabilities to other products other than IFX. We are streamlining the page builder engine log access. We've heard this is a huge pain point for developers, and we're really excited to release that within the next couple of months. We're providing direct access to IFX event history. And then there's an enormous amount of work going on themes. We're providing simplified starter pages and blocks for faster onboarding. We're working on an AI-powered themes block generator that we're super excited about. And we're going to provide new guides and sample code for customizing themes blocks. I am going to pass to Janae. Thank you for your time.
Joan. Hi, I'm Janae Sarovac, a product manager on Arc's Content Intelligence team. And before I jump into some of the upcoming features, I want to first expand on what Joe shared about our vision and approach and how AI is really changing the way we think. So I have here traditionally, content creation without AI has been a fairly linear process. We find sources, write, edit, add media, and distribute. But today we're really at an inflection point. AI is really shaking things up and disrupting this linear workflow and opening the door to more dynamic and intuitive ways of working. So what does that look like? What's a new nonlinear flow look like? This is a storytelling experience. We have an entire ecosystem of AI surrounding the story. You could use speech to text to transcribe notes to begin a draft. Use that draft to begin recommending photos, generate text from videos, generate audio articles, tags, content topics, or related stories. This means we're using AI to make the story the center or the core of a rich storytelling experience. We're not just asking, how do I complete this workflow more efficiently? We're asking, how do I tell the best story? And this shift is not just a technology evolution, it's a paradigm shift in the way we think and the way we seek answers from AI. I came across this example that I thought was great. Here we have on the left, we're asking ChatGPT for a cookie recipe. And sure, its response is faster than browsing through pages of Google search results to get an answer. But on the right, we're starting with a photo of a refrigerator and asking, what should I cook with this? That subtle change of mindset is driving everything that we're doing at ArcXP. The ArcXP Intelligence solution is an AI platform designed to support these nonlinear adaptive workflows that are responsive, intelligent, and contextual. We're building the infrastructure to support this at scale. And our development approach is to not reinvent the wheel every time. Nothing is a one-off. we're building tools that build on each other. So today's primitive becomes tomorrow's feature and next quarter's product. This modular mindset keeps our platform extensible, flexible, and future ready. It supports faster innovation and easier cross-product integrations. You may recognize here some of these first steps as some of the foundational Arc intelligence products, things like AI editor or settings. Currently, we're working on some of these things in pink: vectors, recommendations, and long-term memory, setting us up for the things in red, like agents and automation. And so where we are today, our starter and core AI packages include everything you need to get started with AI, like summaries, headlines, audio articles, and translations. You can also create your own prompts or change models through our AI settings. And we recently released our AI advanced package, which offers the latest with vectors. And we also have some new AI pricing available that is a flat per user rate rather than paying per request. So you can chat with your TAM if you're interested in learning more there. But this is where it gets really exciting, where we're at now. Vectors. Customers tell us some of the biggest challenges they face are time constraints, content overhead, and managing distribution across multiple sites. These aren't new problems, but with the right tools, they can be finally solved efficiently. By using vectors, we're changing how content is discovered, recommended, and reused. It's kind of like upgrading from an old library card catalog to a hyper-intelligent librarian who knows exactly what you need before you even ask. By rethinking how your content is indexed, recommended, and retrieved, we're able to streamline workflows, reduce friction, and save time, all while improving user engagement. So next up on our roadmap with vectors, we're exploring deeper recommendation systems, retrieval augmented generation, persistent memory for AI agents, and fully hybrid search models. These will fuel an entirely new class of intelligent content operations. The first application of vectors is live now, suggesting related stories in Composer that can be used to help with engagement and recirculation on your site. And next up, we're working on photos and video vectors, which will also give suggestions for featured media in Composer. And as Joe mentioned earlier, our vision around hyper-personalization is clear: to provide powerful experiences that feel personal to every user. AI enables us to move beyond audience segmentation towards deeply individualized content delivery. So what we're working on: AI-powered recommendations. As we just saw, we're using vectors to recommend related articles, photos, and videos for the newsroom to quickly find and attach content that helps with engagement and recirculation. We're also working towards personalized page elements, giving you the toolbox of AI-powered blocks. Think summaries, translations, personalized recommendations, all ready to drop into your pages. And looking ahead, we've got two big personalization superpowers on the roadmap. First, we're diving into audience and identity, giving customers better tools for collecting and using data responsibly. And second, we're looking at personalization at edge. That means delivering custom content faster by tapping into the speed of CDNs. Basically, smarter, faster, and more tailored experiences. And looking towards the rest of the year, we have our recommended photos and videos for articles in Composer, customer API access to the Arc Intelligence API, and we're considering all the ways that we can leverage vectorization of content, things like automatic metadata or transcriptions. And lastly, we're continuing to build towards agents, automation, and RAGs, retrieval augmented generation, and also hybrid search. And lastly here, I want to call out our ideas portal. If you have any use cases or ambitions with AI, we definitely want to know them, so share them with us at ideas.arcxp.com. With that, I'll hand it over to Mike.
Great. Thanks, Janae. My name is Mike Holland. I'm the head of the content platform team at Arc. And what I'm going to be talking about a little bit today is one of the big areas where we've been investing in for the content platform, and it's session management. So basically where we've been trying to improve the platform is we know that in our current system, the fact that we lock stories is problematic. It makes it difficult to build advanced content workflows. And as we move forward into some of the areas that Janae was showing with agents, we're going to continue to run into issues there. We're now moving into the idea that instead of locking, the content platform will have a session space where we can put documents into that allow with multiple types of real-time interaction. So what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about the vision of where we're going and the steps that are going to be in there and what you'll be seeing from us over the next several quarters. Okay? Probably the easiest way to do that, because ARC is a storytelling organization, is to start with the story. So the idea is that authors are going to be writing. We still believe that that part of the process needs to be the same as what authors expect now. They'll be working in Composer, they'll write content, add metadata, add components like images, videos, etc. They'll also use proactive tools. So they'll be using tools like the AI editor for summarization, recommendation, and other capabilities. Where things will get a little bit different is our view is that in addition to the work the author is doing, the organization also has rules. Now, how do those rules work? Well, you can write rules with IFX in the integration framework. You can write rules using Draft API. And you can make all of these things where humans or rules can run to update stories. Now, these are going to take two different shapes. They could be a command to update the story. They could also be things like suggestions. So it could say, I think you should make this change. The system needs to be able to handle both of those things occurring. Those kinds of rules can run either on save or they can run on publish. So all of these organizational rules are the second step of the process. Where we want to have the platform go is the author should be able to continue to work, but be informed that the organizational rules are being applied. This is where the new Draft API session service is going to come in. That tool effectively holds the main copy of the story, allows granular updates to be applied, deals with conflicts, and then informs everyone who's connected to that story about what's going on. It's you can kind of think of it as a chat server about that story. It would send notifications up to the users, and it can provide notification out to different APIs or agent sort of technologies. Where does that go? Well, notification first, then suggestions and comments, eventually collaborative editing and co-writing a document with an AI agent. All of these technologies we're going to be working on one kind of building block at a time. What does that mean for you today and tomorrow? Well, the good news is the first version of the draft session server is done. We're integrating it with Composer within the ARC platform right now. We will be working over the next several months to have it work with backend updates. So basically API updates will be able to talk to that API and update stories directly. You can think of it as around the lock. That work is being done by the Composer team right now. Over the next several quarters, we're working on the other elements of the story, whether it's working with agents, whether it's working with other capabilities of editing the content. So obviously, this is going to be a big change. Customers that are doing development with us that are using Draft API directly, we want to start talking to you about it. So please reach out to your TAMs if you're interested in being part of work on the session service. We'd love to talk to you over the next month or two. I want to give a big shout out and thanks to Advance Local and Baltimore Banner, who have already started to give us feedback on this. In addition to session work, we are doing other things on the content management side of our work. One of them is the Validation Rules API. We are excited to have that API rolling out. Composer is working on the integration today. Ryan will talk about it some, where you have the ability to add specific rules for validating your stories. That's both an API and a capability within Composer soon. The second part is our Draft API pipeline priorities. A lot of you may be aware that in Draft API, when you put content into our system, you could choose between standard and ingest mode. we're now expanding that out to have multiple lanes of content. Obviously, this is us moving towards areas where you can do long-running processes like Migration Center, but also processes like bulk updates and bulk changes to large amounts of content and have it not affect other production processes. So we're working on all these things now. So what I like to do is hand it off to Ryan to talk more about Composer and the Creator apps.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike. So I'd like to start with an exciting announcement, which is that Composer 2.0 is now the default authoring experience for just about all of our customers. There are a few customers with lingering integration work that we are wrapping up. So in the next few weeks, we'll be at 100% using Composer version 2 for all of their story authoring. This has been a huge body of work for the team. And I also want to acknowledge it's been a huge body of work for a lot of you listening in on the webinar, working through change management. But we're super excited to now turn the team's entire focus on taking advantage of some of these new enablements that Mike and Janae and others have talked about, integrating in vector-powered featured media recommendations, working on the content validation and session service. And so now that we have reached this big milestone, the team can kind of increase the velocity on some of those new features and new updates within Composer V2. One of those specifically is a revamp of how revisions work. We took a pass at this last year, but we heard from our customers through the Ideas portal and elsewhere that you really like the ability to compare any two revisions, and you'd also like to see what exactly changed at a glance without having to go through the revision and kind of figure it out for yourself. So we're making an update so that you can compare any two revisions, and again, so those meta and other planning differences are highlighted much more clearly, so you can see kind of at a glance what's changed between two different revisions. So thanks for the idea. Cool. On the Video Center front, we're working on a total revamp of the video edit experience, enabling you to more easily manage your video files. And this brings the user experience in line with Composer and the other creator apps, making it a lot more familiar with how you manage your metadata and also how you reference your video or your main content while you work, bringing a consistent experience across the entire creator apps. This work also lays the foundation for us to start to integrate Arc Intelligence into the video management experience. And so if you have any suggestions or ideas about how you'd like to see that work, very keen to see those ideas in the Ideas portal and start those conversations. So please be in touch with your account manager, and we'd love to have those conversations start as we bring the new video edit experience into market. Cool. And with that, I'll hand over the spotlight to Neil.
Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Giratana. I'm the head of Arc Cloud Platform. I'll talk to you a little bit about our rendering and delivery platform and some exciting new information. So as you might recall from the previous webinar, we talked about the release of Page Builder Engine 6. Pleased to share, and you've probably already seen it in the release notes, that Engine 6 is out. It is a very straightforward release. It does one thing, which is to upgrade Node 20 support. And we really limited any additional changes to make that migration as simple as possible for all of you. The guide, the documentation are all available on dev.arcxp.com. And I just want to note, Engine 5 will be deprecated later this year. So I just want to make sure that folks are aware of that and talk for just a moment about specifically, like, what is our goal when we take and do these upgrades? I know sometimes, you know, it can be pretty exciting to get some new features. It could also be some challenges in terms of, you know, maybe you have other priorities. So spending just a moment talking about that. So first and foremost, with engine upgrades, the intent there is to empower you with the newest version of Node or the newly released version of Node. So in this case, it's Node 20. Later this year, you'll see Node 22. But really to give you those best capabilities, as well as keeping up with the security updates, any deprecated packages, things like that. Sort of good hygiene. We also intend to, or not intend, but we do seek to enable you to plan and schedule your upgrades. So depending on, what's the size and scale of your team, what are your other business priorities, we want to seek to put that out early so that you have visibility and carry it forward. We take really seriously the amount of work that we put on you. That when we did the Engine 6 upgrade, we knew in 2024 there was a lot of churn there in terms of getting to the upgrade to 5. And we sought to make it as small as humanly possible. That's why there are so few changes there. And we've already seen a number of organizations that have made that migration without issue, et cetera, trying to keep that as simple as possible. Now, that doesn't mean that the future ones won't have changes. The platforms change over time. And we're also limited by the node runtimes that AWS makes available to us. I think most folks know under the covers there's Lambda going on. We seek to make the instructions clear, communicate exactly what are you going to run into. You may not know this. We run through a dozen and more bundles. We'll run the upgrade ourselves through every different variation that we can determine to make sure that it runs smoothly and gets out easily for you. And then finally, we seek to promote consistency to ensure the service stability and availability. So what does that mean? What it means is if you're on Engine 3 or 4, if you didn't upgrade to 5, if you were to have a problem in production where you've seen that maybe you have a client-side vulnerability or something of that nature, and you needed to make a quick code change and push that bundle up, we couldn't deploy it because it's got an outdated node runtime. So keeping you safe, it doesn't harm our system, but keeping you safe and helping you to make sure that you can support your system means getting up to that version that will run for a new runtime. So if you needed to make that fix, you'd actually have to do the upgrade to the latest engine version in order to get that out, or at least the latest supported version. So all in all, it's about keeping you safe. It's about giving you new features. It's trying to limit the workload that you have. Now, switching gears a bit, I want to talk for just a moment about our edge integrations. You heard a little bit about this on the last webinar from Kathy, and I'm here to share a little bit more. Effectively, edge integrations, we've heard repeatedly, I've been here a couple of years now, and I've heard repeatedly about, we really wish we could take advantage of this certain best of breed third-party service. Like, I want to plug into the CDN. I want to extend and be able to use some of the coolest features that I see that are at services outside in the world. And so we've put a concerted effort into, one, building a framework where we can start hooking in those best of breed third-party services. The first one is Datadome, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. We have Piano coming after the Datadome one, and then hyper-personalization along thereafter. And so if you look at our third-party best-of-breed services that we're seeking to integrate, there's 3 primary areas, but I'll hint at a couple of others. One is bot management. That's not hard to see. Datadome, that's what they do. The second is paywall and subscription services and giving you a server-side paywall capability that's just dead simple to integrate, but takes advantage and lets you use some of those third-party services. And the third is A/B testing. And while I can say Piano for paywall and I can say Datadome for the bot management, we're not prepared to announce the A/B testing platform that we'll be integrating. But we're doing active research on that because we have the first 2 already in flight. So what you'll see is Datadome's coming very early Q3. So as we come to the end of this quarter, into the next quarter, you'll see all of that messaging start to come out. It'll be generally available for the integration. Piano will have more information for you in the next webinar, but loosely speaking, you're looking at Q3. A/B testing will come thereafter, and so you're going to see this sequence just constantly adding more and more to the platform in that way. We also have 2 areas that this opens up for us. So when we say edge integration, so this is not back in AWS, this is out at the Akamai edge, leveraging compute there. Hyper-personalization we can latch into so that we can give one-to-one personalization, and that's something that we're driving internally at Arc, is how do we take the browsing history of a particular reader and be able to update the content recommendations. Maybe it's an alternative collection, maybe it's the way that the homepage is constructed. Things like that is the path that we're headed. And then the second is composing at edge. Well, what does that mean? Well, if you've ever been challenged or had the question about, I clicked the button on publish and it took a few minutes to get out there, but man, this is the biggest news event of the year and I need it right now. Being able to put that information out or that news out in the moment, quickly and responsively, that's what that edge composition is about. It's not back 3 layers of caching, it's right at the edge. So think of it as those news bulletins, etc. And then being able to advance our rendering speed in general. And so just to give you a little sneak peek of what that Data Dome integration will look like, there's really 3 steps. One is you would end up, once that comes out, you're going to sign up with Data Dome. The second is you're going to take and put a small snippet of client-side code into your bundle, right? And that'll have your client-side key. And the third is you're going to turn it on. And literally, that's the whole interface to do the integration from the Arc side. Now, under the covers, there's lots of stuff going on, but the integration is dead simple. Hit the switch, put your key in, hit save, and now you're getting the goodness that you would expect from Data Dome. Now, the question comes up of, well, wait a minute. I know you have Botman that you offer, and Botman's not going away. You know, Botman is a more managed service. Think of it as sort of, you get a consultant, if you will. You get really high touch security interaction in terms of looking at your bots, helping you to understand them, putting the configurations in with professional services where we partner with Akamai. In the case of Data Dome, it's much more hands-on, but it gives you, great power, great responsibility. It gives you visualizations that we're excited to make available to you through Data Dome. And so this is an example screen of a new feature they have with LLM models and applications that are seeking to scrape a site, that kind of thing, which is pretty exciting to see. And I think you'll all benefit from that. So again, Data Dome's first, Piano's next, coming shortly thereafter. And then we're going to continue to sequence our way through those third-party integrations. If there's anything you would love to see within these integrations, please reach out to your TAM. We're taking recommendations, et cetera. The 2 that I didn't mention that are sort of in that space of the 3 categories, one is CDPs, right? Like, how do I identify and categorize the people inbound? The other one is additional AI-related functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and hand back over to Mike to talk a little bit about the Headless API.
All right. So I just real quick wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about some of the headless work that we've been doing. We're pretty excited. We have a number of customers now that are using View API to create headless applications. They're ranging across a set of different use cases. Some people are looking at them for mobile apps, custom web applications. Some are using them as for special parts of their site that they want to do client side. So there's a lot of capabilities that we're seeing people using View API for. Just to kind of reset for people that aren't familiar with View API, obviously Page Builder is our preferred solution for our integrated experience, where everything comes out of the creator apps. You write your content, it goes into our content platform, goes out to Page Builder, as Neil was talking about, with all of our capabilities in Node in the engine. We host it, we cache it, we manage the security, goes to the public internet to your readers. So that's the core use case there. With View API, where we go is the same beginning of the process. It goes to the content platform, but then it goes to View API, where we do public level caching and API keys, but we present it with a REST API. That goes through the public internet, and then it goes directly into a customer application. In that case, you're responsible for delivering the rest of the experience. One of the biggest requests we've had from customers about View API is the ability to do the include and exclude filters so that they can write queries at the performance that View API gives them, but include less content in it, either by excluding content or including it. We're excited. This work is done. We're rolling it into Sandbox in the very beginning of June. And then we're going to focus on a few other endpoints we've heard people ask about, the main one being for standalone video and gallery pages. And then we're going to move on to some other cases. So really excited about the usage of View API. Thanks to everybody. Again, if there are cases that you're seeing you can't do with this, or you're using other capabilities of our platform, like the kind of more internal server-to-server content API cases, we're interested in talking about those. All right, thank you. And I'm going to hand it off to, oh, sorry. One more quick thing, sorry I forgot about it, was there are 2 other areas that we are actively working on for the delivery platform, content delivery areas. One is the Content API dashboard. We've been rolling this out kind of tranche by tranche to different groups of customers. We should finish all of those up in the beginning of June, getting it out to everybody. But the idea is that you'll be able to go in and see how much usage you've got on Content API and where that is against your rate limits. The core part of it we're rolling out. We're also going to be expanding those dashboards over the next 2 months for collections, and then also more information for migration center jobs so that you can track what's going on there. And I know the last subject is one that everyone's interested in, is we are continuing to work on custom fields and content types. You probably won't see it in the next month or so, but we're making improvements to our search platform to allow indexing of all of that information. So as we had told you in the last couple of webinars, it is an active project. We're not ready to do our deliverables just yet, but we're very optimistic that next quarter's webinar will have some great news for you on that front. So, all right, now I'm going to hand it off to Joan.
Hello again, everyone. I would like to talk about what's going on within revenue, intelligence and flexibility, and more specifically, subscriptions. So in Q1, we updated 70 plus documents, as I previously mentioned. In Q2, we introduced the active subs changes, which provided flexibility for updating active subscriptions products. In Q3, and already in flight, is we're working on first-party data. And this is going to allow us to collect and store first-party data. And then further on this year, we want to move towards audience insights, which is utilizing the first-party data for personalized experiences and offers. So to jump into the first-party data tools that we're building, we are starting small and iterating. So initially, we're going to start with bookmark capability or read later. And we're laying the foundation for storing user attributes and actions that we can use in subsequent releases. To be very clear, we're providing a configurable list of collection data points. We aren't going to say, hey, these are the data points that we're collecting. We're putting control in your hands. You're in the driver's seat determining what you want to collect. We will collect it for you and store it for you. And we're also going to allow for IFX integrations for actionable things to happen, like generating a newsletter. So the vision for the subscriptions moving forward is to power audience insights with first-party data. So we're eventually going to offer metrics and reporting, audience segmentation, enhanced content personalization, and dynamic paywall. And with that, Joe, I believe you're on wrap up.
Thank you, Joan, and everyone, and for all the customers on the call to bear with us for the last 48 minutes or so. Lots of content, lots of depth behind each of the highlights that our product leaders shared today. And hopefully you're seeing how the vision that we started talking about last year, and in every webinar we've been refining as we learn together, how that maps into these investments. We would love to be able to snap tomorrow to have all these amazing new tools for you. But the reality is building these right takes time. Building them in a way that meets our customer promise of high uptime, of reliability, of security. All that requires that we dot our I's, cross our T's, and make Arc a platform for you, not just for today, for the future, so you can trust it for the heart of your business. And so as I said up front, and many of our leaders shared today, please give us your feedback. Arc is a community, and we want to make sure that the community around this operating system and product technology fits your needs. So with that said, I think I got some contacts here for getting engaged. Email any of us, use your TAMs. If there's one takeaway from this meeting is that we'd love to hear from you and get feedback on our vision and our products and what you love and what you might like us to improve a little bit more in future webinars. So with that said, I think we've got some Q&A time left. Andrew, I think you're going to moderate this final section.
I am. And we only had a couple questions come through during the webinar. So if you have any questions, definitely submit them now. And we can get to them in this last few minutes that we have together for Q&A. So first question, I believe, is for Neil. Others may have thoughts too and chime in. But first question, are there plans to provide AI-ready page builder documentation or examples to facilitate development of page builder using AI coding tools like Cursor or other tools?
Simple answer is yes, and to a degree, it's sort of partially in play already. So, if you look, if you recall, dev.arcxp.com, which Joan talked about quite a bit, we made that public. We removed the login wall to both that as well as docs.arcxp.com to make all of the documentation, all of the examples that are therein available for scraping, whether it's AI bots or otherwise. And we actually have an internal chat project that we're testing on right now that's been trained on those for the purposes of, we want to make sure that it's fully capable before we put it out to the public. But it's, by all responses, it's been great. So that's definitely in flight. It's definitely important to us. I think the other part Joan mentioned on the call as well was the, and she'd be able to speak to this better than I could, but the AI application towards the themes blocks. And so sort of looking at how do we help our customers to generate code, whether it's based on themes blocks themselves or to sort of carry forward from there. And so, yes, we're very excited for it. It's definitely internal. I don't know that I can say something specific about Cursor. Not that we're avoiding Cursor or something. I just haven't seen it yet. I have seen Cursor. I haven't seen us apply our docs towards Cursor.
I would like to add that we will be adding a blog to the developer portal, talking about specifically about AI and how, as Neil stated, how your developers can use it. Now that everything's public, we have been playing with it and we've seen fabulous results. And there is definitely more to come on AI in the themes block area in Q3. Our go-to-market plan will be, or our future for themes will be communicated within the next couple of weeks.
Awesome, thank you. We had another question come through, but I think it's a little bit of a specific situation, so we're gonna follow up with that one offline. Let's see. I don't see any other questions coming through, so we'll maybe give it a couple minutes if anybody else has anything else. Anybody else in the audience has a question? Anybody on the team has anything else to add? But
I'll throw one thing in that I forgot to mention, Andrew.
Sure.
Didn't put it into slide, but I do want to say, just folks, if you haven't dug in on MX and you're not excited about MX yet, you should be. We have sites going into production. We're super excited about it from the perspective of ephemeral and development environments, et cetera. Definitely reach out to your TAM if you're interested in that. I don't mean to make it like, oh, we did MX, it went away last quarter. It's still going strong and improvements are being made to it. So I want to make sure that gets out there.
Awesome. Well, I think with that, that's all we have for today. So you all get a few extra minutes back in your day. Thanks for joining us. And again, we will be sending the recording out after this. Oh, another great question. Where can clients sign up for the Dev Community Portal website? That link is dev.arcxp.com. So definitely go and check that out. Yeah, it's lots of great resources in there. Super easy. It's public and easy to get involved there. So awesome. That link, as well as the recording, will be in the follow-up that we send out. But thanks so much for joining all. Yeah, and have a great rest of your day.